Danielle Smith is a Premier of Alberta. She's in Toronto. She joins me right now because I want to put the question to you. Are you here to make peace with all these people who don't like oil and gas? Tell me about the future of the oil and gas industry in Alberta.
People should love the oil and natural gas sector because not only do we generate jobs and wealth for Alberta, but it also generates jobs and wealth for the entire country. And one of the things that I think maybe we've made a mistake on is not leading with the environmental message that we have in the industry. And it's such a strong environmental message.
Well, it is. And if somebody looks at it and they say, well, it's dirty oil or it's this gas. And then you say, okay, what about the alternative? The alternative is coal. And if you could export natural gas to China, they wouldn't have to be digging new coal.
You're exactly right. I mean, I've had this conversation with the Prime Minister. In fact, the very first conversation I had with him was to say, we are not in Alberta offside with the aspiration of being carbon neutral by 2050. But it's got to be by 2050 because we need enough time to develop the technology that's going to allow us to get there. Things like small modular nuclear reactors, things like carbon capture, utilization, and storage, things like pipelines that will allow us to take LNG to the world so that we can reduce emissions, not only on coal, but also wood. There's a number of products that they use internationally that has not just greenhouse gas emissions, but also overall pollutants. We can make the entire atmosphere cleaner by having more natural gas.
And I've had experts on this show saying that if Canada shut down right away everything, it wouldn't make one iota to the world because of other countries like China and now Europe having to burn coal. So really, do you think there's going to be a resurgence for the oil and gas industry in Alberta?
I think the thing people need to understand as we talk about transition, it's a transition away from emissions. It's not a transition away from oil and natural gas. We are going to need oil and natural gas. And I'll give you a couple of examples because bitumen has been in the line of sight for a long time. Right. But guess what? One of the big products that you make out of bitumen, you make asphalt. And you don't burn asphalt, you lay it on the ground. So there's no emissions associated with it. And even when everybody is driving electric vehicles, they're going to need roads to drive them on. Same thing with natural gas. So much of the value of natural gas now is making petrochemicals and plastics. And you can look around a room and see all of the things that are made with natural gas.
Yeah, but you're being rational about this. I mean, every time I see the protesters, I look at the clothes and, they flew in today on a jet to protest. But I mean, I'm sure you acknowledge that you do have an uphill battle on this.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that we didn't realize what a battle we were in. And so I think the industry always felt like, well, people understand how important this is. People understand that we can't just phase it out. And so we got 10 years behind on the communications. And I think that the industry is now stepping up. If you look at, for instance, the oil sands players, they've created this new pathways group. And they have said that their aspiration is to be net zero by 2050. And they have a plan for how to get there. And they're doing advertising. I think even on I've seen them on NFL football as well. So they're doing advertising where people are going to see it. And that's the kind of thing that we need to see is more of that positive messaging.
And Madam Premier, you're doing TV shows about it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
3 minutes. Thank you for contributing. We are almost out of the hole. People like the show and we want to keep it on the air. So press subscribe, press PayPal. PayPal is really simply a credit card that you can pay with. And if you're writing a check or a letter, please put your address in because I will send a letter to everybody who contributes money. Subscribe, PayPal. Thank you.